gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the best of the 96. Let's bring it on the normal angle. And if I pan down towards the Kenner guidebook by Red 5 Designs, here's the front cover. This has been absolutely instrumental in this series. This is episode 5, I believe, and we'll be looking at characters from 49 all the way to 5, 12, 60. We've done 4 episodes, 4 12s are 48, 5 12s are 60, so we should end on 60, which is... Where are you? The week way, great. So, we'll be looking at these characters, and what the thing is I'll be doing this. And the thing is I'll be doing this, I'll be looking at my shelves to find what I consider the best figures for the characters that are in the 96. And I hope I have them. It's been great. I've loved doing this series to see what I've got on my shelves. I've never done this before. So we're starting with Zuckuss. I keep showing the Return of the Jedi card. It should be on the proper original card that sort of matches the film he's from first. So we've got Zuckuss, correctly known as Forlom. Speaking of Forlom, then we've got Forlom, should be called Zuckuss. We'll be looking at Admiral ACKBAR, Luke Jedi. Some great characters coming up. Princess Leia Organa, the Gamorrean Guard, or the GAMORREAN Guard, whatever you want to, whatever side of the pond you're from, or whatever. Then we've got the Emperor's Royal Guard, Chief CHIRPA, wow, that's going to be an interesting one. I wonder what I have for that. Logray, Klaatu, or Klaatu, Rebel Commando, Weequay. That's it. I'm loving it. Brilliant. So now we're getting deep into the Return of the Jedi sector. And I'm going to go and have a look and find those characters and the best figure I have for them. It should be technically, I'd hope, with my collection being as extensive as it is, the best that has been offered you thus far. But we'll soon find out. Join me. And I found them all, ladies and gentlemen, and here they are. And what I'm trying to do in as many cases as possible is just choose one figure for each character. But in some cases, I've got to show you two. Basically, the one in the foreground will be the one I'd consider the best. Or do I? Or do I? We'll talk about that when we get to this fella, but let's start with Forlom. Or do you want to call him Zuckuss? You let me know. This is the TVC one, and I just like this one of the two. The one in the background is the Disney one. I got this gifted to me from Lara V. It's a Disney Parks one, I believe, or you get it from Shop Disney. I don't remember him being that black, although if you look at the card back, let's go back. He could be. You know, think about people like the Death Star droid. Is he champagne coloured or is he silver? It was just down to lighting conditions. He seems to be a specific colour. In fact, if you look at the figure, this one kind of represents what the previous figure, you know, rocked. Kind of a, not brown, but kind of, I don't know, man. It wasn't black though, that's for sure. It was that kind of greeny, grey thing going on, more of a grey, I'd say. So there you go. This is my favourite. I love this one. When I cracked this one open to have loose, I didn't regret it. In fact, speaking of Lara V, this came from her. This came from her. She sent me this carded, and I opened it, and then she sent me that on a separate delivery. She must be into her Forlom / Zuckuss, but it's just worth giving that one a shout. That one has got good articulation. Not as much articulation as this one here on the left. The TVC one has got a shoulder ball joint, this one doesn't. But it does have a ball joint on the elbow, so it's not a bad figure for a droid. I'd sooner put him somewhere on my Mandalorian shelf or anywhere else, because they're quite typical, those droids. You do see them, even in Kenobi. Next up, this is one on its own. No dispute in this one, it's undisputed. It is Zuckuss. This is the Legacy Collection one, I believe. I got this from somewhere, I can't remember quite, but look at that, soft goods detail. Look at the lovely paintwork on the sleeves there. Great figure, unquestionably the best I have anyway. I don't think any other figure of Zuckuss will beat this one. Or people used to call him Forlom, but officially that's Zuckuss. Brilliant figure. Let's move it on. Let's keep it moving, ladies and gentlemen. And then this is a figure that has done the rounds. It's come back and back again. The latest one that came out in TVC for a reissue had probably superior paintwork on the head. Maybe highlighted as the black spots on his head, but this is one I actually opened off a TVC card back in 2013. I went to a Forbidden Planet and bought this. Oh no, it might have even been worlds apart in Liverpool, and I bought it to open back before anyone thought about keeping TVC carded. It was just a figure to have. But which proves I was always a loose collector before I ever did anything carded collecting, but still, this is good. And he also came out in the Black Series as well, you see, and then back out in TVC. So this figure has done a lot of returns, but then again, one could argue the one, and I can remember how I felt when I opened him in 2013, it is so definitive. Look at it, it's just great. It's just like he's jumped off the screen. You can't beat that head sculpt, can you? Look at that, it's Admiral ACKBAR, man. Do you want me to say it? Should I say it? Everyone says it. It's a trap! We have no choice, General Canadian. Our magnitude, our cruisers can't pound firepower magnitude. Awesome. Let's move on to Luke. So, there is... I mean, do you know what? That's my favourite Luke. That's my favourite Luke Jedi, and I'll explain why in a minute. But it would be really rude of me and quite incorrect not to feature this figure, because one must acknowledge that has to be the best figure for him in the palace. Let's flip over and see what number we're on here. So 49 was Forlam, 50 was Zuckuss, or, well, how they should be named. 51 was ACKBAR, 52 is Luke, Jabba's palace, and see, he's got the correct gear for that. He's even got the cloak that totally throws back to the original figure from Kenner. So I've got to have this as my first choice. But I just want to acknowledge this one here, because this one of all the figures of Luke Jedi is the one that makes me feel like the one I had in my hand in the 80s, because of the shape of the head, the colour of the hair on this one. He has the black glove. And I like the way Luke is and acts around that part of the film, man. So that's my favourite Luke Jedi. But this one is an excellent figure and a really good facial sculpt of Mark Hamill as well. So one could argue that is the definitive one for this original release. Moving on, let's talk about 53, which is LEIA. BOUSHH. I always remember the BOUSHH figure as a kid. And this is one that's just, I opened it off the Black Series card back in 2015, and this is all I've ever needed for BOUSHH. It's just great, and I believe the one they brought out in TVC is just this one, except they may have modified the face. But you're never going to want to have her with the helmet off unless you're going for a specific someone who loves you diorama. But, you know, she looks so good with the Untitled Chapter. He agrees. He, don't misgender her, him, whatever. But that's great, that figure. Look, you can see the thermal detonator in hand. Brilliant figure. Let's just move on. Enough said, that's a great BOUSHH. Next one. The Gamorrean Guard, a collecting focus of mine, carded. That's just a new thing in my life. I don't know how it just spiraled. Check out any videos I've got on that. What happened was I just found myself on this pathway of getting loads of Gamo variants. And so he's become one of the key figures in my personal, on my channel, I guess, or my personal collecting with regards carded figures of him. But this, as ever, it's a great TVC figure, this one, because of the fact it's so darn good. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Some people have issue with this body, like the nappy, I guess, the fluffiness of that, but I love it, man. It's just rock the soft goods, man. Look at it. Great. It's not that fluffy, is it? I suppose it was so dark in the palace you couldn't really tell what was going on down there, but he is awesome, isn't he? They could never improve on that unless they change the texture of that to appease the people who don't like it. But there's not many people I've heard moan about it. I think people just pointed it out. It looks, I don't know what it is, like a grass skirt or something. Brilliant. I love this figure. You can't beat it. Unbelievable facial sculpt that. I'd love them to bring out a set of these, please, Hasbro. Bring out a four pack of these. I understand, unless it was a fake, that they brought out a set of these guys now. Merry, where the hell's that come from? We're in the 40th anniversary year of Return of the Jedi, and why aren't they bringing out a set of Gamos, or why aren't they bringing out a set of this fella? It's ridiculous. You know, who is asking for this stuff? Nobody that I'm aware of. Anyway, moving on. That was number 54. Number 55, I have got, for the first time in this series, 3 figures out to explain what is what. But this one here is brilliant. This is the TVC one, albeit the Black Series reissue, because the texture of the robe was way better. And it's great because it's such a good nod back to the original Kenner line because of the soft goods aspect of it. The removable helmet underneath, well, if you want to see what he looks like, I could take that off for you, but that's a nonsense thing, because like with Stormtroopers and Scout Troopers and anyone in the original trilogy, they never took their helmet off. So that feature was very expanded universe. This one in the background is an actual TVC one. I have opened one off the card back for TVC, and here you'll see, obviously I've set him up so he's the variant figure of it, because it does come with accessories whereby you can change the helmet so it looks like that Crimson Empire thing. But you see the robe is way fluffier, but one might argue that that's better because it kind of encapsulates or tips a hat or gives a nod to the original Kenner one. Let's say in terms of quality and draping better, this Black Series one is better. But I have to also show you this one. This is a 5 POA one, and a guy asked me this morning in the comments, they said they were impressed with the number of 5 POA figures that I was bigging up in this series. And it's true, you can't ignore somehow. Some of them are so good. Like the silhouette of this guy is incredible. I'll bring him to the foreground. Look at that. That's how I remember them looking and draping in Return of the Jedi. It's a 5 POA figure, but the guy said, given I have mentioned so many 5 POA figures in this series, do you think you'll do a top 10 5 POA figures video? And man, that will be a pleasure. I will do that. Great idea for a video. That'll be coming up next. Not next, but I'll get this out of the way first, and I'll do something like that soon. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. That was number 55. 56, Chief Chirpa. This is the only figure in the world I have for Chief Chirpa. Now, we need a boffin here to tell us if there has been any other figures. There might have been, I don't know. In the 40th anniversary, 50th, oh geez, what we're getting away. In the 30th anniversary or something like that. There's been loads of lines of figures, Legacy Collection and whatever. But I have never sought out a Chief Chirpa. People will have, people who go for definitive collections, like I keep mentioning his name, Daniel Chart. He's well into getting definitive stuff and getting every character and ticking boxes. But this is all I have for Chief Chirpa. This is not from the 1980s. Well, let me start that again. This figure is from the 1980s. This is the original Kenner one. And that spear is what do they call it now? Repro, that's the word. I needed a spear for a vintage Wicket I bought in 2016, and I got a set of 3 of them. I've since sold the Wicket because I recarded him, but I got a couple of spare spears, and I thought, well, I'll give it to this Chief Chirpa, and I don't know where the hell this Chief Chirpa came up, in some kind of loose figure job lot, but he came complete with the headgear, so there you are. I kept hold of him. So there is that. That's all I have for Chief Chirpa. Now let's look at a really good Ewok figure. This is Log Ray. This is technically on the Kenner system, 57. Log Ray, and look at that. That's an opened figure. Well, the TVC one, I opened it up. And look at that. Brilliant detail on the weapons. A little bit of belly articulation there, but quite discreet because all these things distract you. And there's the headgear. I thought he was the chief of the village, this guy, because he just seems prominent in the film. I don't even remember specifically where Chief Chirpa is. He must be somewhere, but this guy and Tebow are the ones that are just like in your face, man, in that film. And that is it. Good figure, that. Next one is, let's have a look at Klaatu, except he is technically woof. This is the equivalent of what you got in the 80s, the green-faced guy, who was, as you could say now, wrongly named Klaatu, because the prop helmet had the name Woof in it, or there's some evidence like that. Klaatu was a completely different character, the one you see on the deck. The card back of him is anyway. But that is such a good figure, and I'm so pleased for anybody who never got it loose, because he's now available to buy again. They reissued him and a few others, Nikto, the Nikto Skiff Guard, and they brought Yak Face out again, and they're also bringing out him. But it's such a good. This would be on my top 10. I don't know why, it's mad, isn't it? He would be on my top 10 figures of all time for TVC. I never even had the Klaatu in the 80s. Never had it, but there's something about this figure, it's just magic. It's the face, man. This figure has single-handedly made me a fan of the Green Nikto. just looks so good. The soft goods there. Brilliant figure, that. Crazy, isn't it? No nostalgic pull. I only ever had the Nikto, this fella. That's the one I had when I was a kid. And I love that one as well. Oh yeah, he's the other one that's come out. Oh, and Kithaba's come out again. Kithaba's taking a dive through the rails there. What the hell's going on there, Kithaba? Moving on, ladies and gentlemen. We're nearly there. That was 58 Klaatu, now known as Woof. 59 is the Rebel Commando. And I have no choice but to give you this one. This is the only one really I have. I didn't get any in Power of the Force 2 if there were any. I'm sure there were in the OTC and other places, but still, this one from TVC is great. And I'll say again what I said earlier, why the hell haven't they put out a 4-pack of him? Why not? To go with that. You know, the bunker you gave us this year, Hasbro. Why are we getting Wookiees? Unless that was somebody doing a, you know, a meme or something. You know what I mean? Like a concept, a fan idea. But I'm pretty sure I saw that they were bringing out a 4-pack of Wookiees, man. What? Anyway, this guy's pretty cool. You take the helmet off here. I mean, did Mark Boudreau, did he put his likeness on one of these Rebel Commandos? I'd like to get that figure. I don't think it's this one. It might be, I don't know. He had the goatee, didn't he? Anyway, looks more like Stone Cold Steve Austin or somebody of this. Anyway, pretty cool, man. Great figure. I just have him like that on my shelf. He's fully articulated, great detail, but he just looks good. Badass, standing with the weapons. And finally, a really good figure. I bought, number 60 is Weequay, and I bought this figure loose in 2019, just after I bought the barge. And a guy sold me this on Facebook, on a Facebook group. I think it was Echo Base. I think it didn't come complete. He was missing his pistol, but that doesn't matter because he doesn't have a holster. And, you know, I want him holding his staff. Let's bring him forward because it's a bit bright there. I wanted him holding his staff in both hands. The facial sculpt, not a million miles away from the one in the Power of the Force 2, the head sculpt actually. I'll go and show you. I've got both of the other figures inside that barge. Stay with me. Just a great figure. The only issue I've got with it is that the plastic here. So when they bring him out again, I guess it'll be later on this year. They've got a load of other reissue stuff they're bringing out, including 9 but I'd hope they'd fix that. Surely they can. But that's a great figure. Definitive, that in it. Brilliant. I love Weequay. And moving on, let's have a look at 2 other Weekways. Hang on. So I just keep them in here. And they could be technically 2 different characters. There's the original 80s Weequay. I used to have that as a kid. Loved that figure. Absolutely loved that figure as a kid. And then, see what I mean? That's the Power of the Force 2 one. And that head sculpt is not a million miles away. I mean, one could argue say they nailed it then. POTF2. And so they obviously recycled that for the vintage collection. Anyway, thought I'd show you those 2. Boom. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is all for the next 12, the best of the next 12. We have just looked at numbers 49 through to 60. And these are my figures. That's my story of what I consider, or what I have available to me at this point in my time of my collecting career, for the best of the next 12, so to speak, as I've called this series. And we're going to go on from there, ladies and gentlemen. Next time it will be 61 to 72, I believe. It's been great. I have had a lot of good feedback from the series. I have really enjoyed making it though, and I'm really pleased if you are enjoying it. And if you have enjoyed it and you've made it this far, tolerated my waffle, please don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Take it a step further. Do take a look at channel membership and my Patreon page for more additional backstage videos of this room and other stuff to do with my channel. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only one.